Cruising at 18 knots on the Mediterranean, we are headed towards Santorini. It was a short trip by tender to the dock at Santorini. There were 3 ways to access the city: coach, funicular, or about 550 steps to the top. Our coach took us to a stop at Santorini's highest peak, Mount Prophetes Elias Monastery, with views of the airport end of the island. At the northern tip of Santorini lies the village of Ia, built on a steep slope of a caldera that formed after volcanic eruption about 3,000 years ago. They have to import water to drink, since there is no rain all summer. Santorini is considered to be one of the most beautiful islands in the world. It is a remnant of a volcanic crater that was engulfed by the sea. On the cliffs of 492 feet to 984 feet, one can see some of the most beautiful traditional villages in Greece. The white houses with blue painted windows facing the black volcanic rock is beautiful. The small town's charms are its whitewashed houses, winding lanes, picturesque squares, and blue-domed churches. They wash the houses with lime dust from limestone and water. Since they have no wood for flat roofs, they have rounded roofs. The eruption of Santorini in 1650 BC was one of the largest in the last 10,000 years. The last eruption dates to 1956, and the volcano is still active today. After a long walk around the city, it was nice to ride down by a cable car. Our guide told us about some people who lived in this cliff face, in rooms carved into the rock. The tender picked us up at this dock. The next day we sailed from Santorini to Taormina, Sicily, in Italy. Our 8-hour tour started with a visit to Caterina Church, with a look inside. Taormina had walking streets for tourists to wander through. This popular Greek theatre from the 3rd century BC is one of the best preserved in all of Italy. Since 1985, the theatre is still used for summer performances. In Greek times, only men were allowed in the theatre, and the actors were all men. The theatre was damaged during the Second World War. There were panoramic views of the bay and Mount Etna in the distance. What a surprise to see this house collapsing over the cliff edge. Free time was spent wandering the interesting streets. Now the coach is taking us to lunch. A traditional Sicilian lunch was served in this home. Back on the coach, we were on our way to Mount Etna. Mount Etna is one of the world's most active volcanoes and is the highest and largest volcano in Europe. Etna has erupted more than 130 times, 8 of those times in the last 30 years. There are 4 active craters at the summit. The next day we left our ship and took a tender to shore in Sorrento. Sorrento is a town set high atop Mediterranean cliffs and overlooks the Bay of Naples. This is where the last day of our trip was spent. These 2 hours were one of the highlights of our trip. Herculaneum is set in a seaside location and was the Riviera paradise of ancient Rome's rich and famous. Upper-class Romans built beautiful villas and luxurious houses. It was all lost in AD 79 when Mount Vesuvius erupted and buried the city in tons of molten lava. Entire streets, mansions, marble floors, frescoes, and mosaics have now been excavated. The city offers a remarkable insight into the sophistication of the Roman lifestyle and the excesses enjoyed by the wealthy. It was 1800 years before people came back there. Rose bushes grew in ancient Herculaneum. Originally, there were marble mosaics on these sidewalks. More refined mosaics were used here. The stone bench outside houses showed that VIPs lived there. Some houses were 2 to 3 floors high. They spent the summer in the garden area, seen behind glass doors. The only light in their homes came from the skylight. There were 2 steam baths for the public, one for women and one for men. The baths were a social life. They came here every day to meet. The steam collected in the grooves in the ceiling, then ran down to troughs. They put their clothes and things on the shelves in bathhouses. Only part of the city has been excavated. It is thought that the city was enclosed by a wall and was about 20 hectares in size. Only 4.5 hectares are uncovered now. The population was about 4,000. The 16 meters of lava that solidified has led to the excellent preservation. This provided us with organic artifacts like plants, fabrics, furniture, and structural parts of wooden buildings and the upper floors of the buildings, and with them, the precise idea of volumes and building technique. This bathroom was inside the front door. These columns used to support a roof over this walkway. Blue and red were the most expensive colors, as seen in this wall painting. This slot contained a pocket door. Each end of the fountain had a figure on it. Fast food was cooked in these round holes on a marble counter. They ate their noon meal here each day. This area was a gym with a swimming pool on the right. These urns on the ground held wine. The house on the right was a boarding house for use by several families. This was the end of an incredible 2 hours. Sorrento is seen atop the high cliffs as the tender took us back to our ship and the end of a great trip.